so let's get started.
Okay.
Today is November the 27th, and this is an interview for the International Trades and Tech Practicum installation of solar panels in low-income homes in Oaxaca, Mexico. So let's start by, will you tell us what year you participated in this practicum and what instructors you went to this trip with?
It was in November, December of 2016.
Okay.
And I went with Dana McIntyre and Mike.
Oh, was it Mike? Mike Turley.
Turley, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, right, 2016, that's pretty good. So what made you decide that you wanted to participate in this practicum?
A lot of it was actually Dana.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a lot of experience. He had taken, up until that point, I think he'd exclusively taken the groups. He had another instructor that came with him, but he had been doing it the longest, and just his stories. He presented a slideshow to the class early in our, I guess you would call it our semester, I suppose. Probably within the first month, he was recruiting people for this trip. So, and at first, I'm not a huge traveler, so I thought it would be nice, but I never thought I would go. And he actually was a huge part of my decision to actually go on the trip. Yeah, he was very encouraging and had incredible stories. And the seeing the photos was a huge thing. Right. They just took pictures of themselves working and the work that they were doing and the people that they met and the families and the kids and stuff. So that was, Right. Yeah. If it hadn't been for that, I probably would have gone. Yeah.
But he did a whole bunch of promoting and showing pictures.
Yeah, he had a really good presentation put together. So
right.
Yeah.
This links to my next question, which is what were your general impressions about the practicum before going to this trip? And it's kind of funny because he laid it all out pretty well for us, but I still didn't really know what to expect. It was, even through the photos, it was kind of hard to tell what types of homes that we would be working on. Right. Even when we were there, it ranged from cement houses to shacks that they had built themselves with, with their own materials. So, I wasn't sure what to expect. I was pretty much surprised by everything when we went there. I knew the people were going to be nice, and I knew we were going to eat really good food and everything. Sure. But I still, even through the slideshow and everything, I still wasn't prepared for how awesome the trip would actually be. Good. So yeah. So you had heard about the practicum from the instructors, other students would talk about it?
Not from other students. However, Dana brought in letters that they had written. I believe that we did something similar at the end of the program as well. So we were able to read what they had to say. So his previous students, after they had participated and done all the work and gone home, then they kind of wrote out a little... I would call it like a reference for the program and what they did and didn't like about it. And there was resounding, things that they did like. There weren't very many things that they said that they didn't like. So it was really awesome. And he also gave, we knew whether the student was a female or a male, or kind of sort of their general age, he would tell us. So I was older than most of his students that had gone, but that was a huge help, just kind of seeing what they had to say about it. So
lay it all out.
Yeah.
Neat. So did you experience any discrepancies, say, between what you expected from this trip and the service and the work and what it actually was? Like your expectations versus...
No, actually, because I was so unsure. I did go into it knowing that we were going to be working really long days. I went into it knowing it was going to be really, really hot. yeah, he did a pretty good job at preparing us for it. I say that, and then I say that I was surprised by everything, but it was a good kind of surprise. Like everything was better even than I had expected. Right. I didn't have any, there was no negative, nothing negative that didn't, you know, my expectations weren't met in a negative way. So it wasn't anything I was expecting to be better than what it was. It was kind of mostly the other way around.
Oh,
so
cool.
yeah, they were really long days, and it was really, really hot, but it was, you know, that's why we went there.
Sure.
I did have people on my team, on my crew, that were, you know, upset that we didn't get more free time or whatever, but you know, we were there to work, so
for sure. It's a practicum, right?
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's what we were there to do.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
How about culture shock? Are you familiar with that term? Did you experience any like shock?
The only thing I would, not really. Because I knew going to a different country. I mean, I'd been to Mexico before, but I you know, we had stayed in an apartment, and you know, it wasn't. I'd never been to, I guess, low income places like these people had their homes, and I wasn't shocked by anything. I think the only thing I was surprised by, and I almost don't want to mention this, was I'm mostly vegetarian, and when I went on the trip, I knew that I wouldn't be able to do that. So, and I wanted to be respectful to the people who were, you know, hosting us and cooking for us. So, I ate meat while we were there. On the first day, we did a tour of the site.
Keep your secret.
I did a tour of the site that we were working on, working at, and there was an older man. And he had a chicken, it was dead, strung up by its feet. Oh. And he was looking at us and waving. He was all happy. And our tour guide had said to us, he's like, oh, he's preparing your lunch. And so that was the only thing that kind of, you know, I was like, oh, okay. And it wasn't, again, like I knew going into it, we would probably see something like that. But I was kind of, that's the only thing that surprised me.
It is hard to be a vegetarian in Mexico.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why that's why I knew going into it. I even told Dana, I said I'll eat, you know, whatever I have to.
Right. That's nice.
But yes.
That's very open.
Yes. Tried to be as much as possible.
Right. Anything else? There's the food, anything that you thought, oh my God, this is very different from Canada.
Nothing really overly shocked me. I quite enjoyed the way they were raising their children. It was different. I used to, at the time I was a dance teacher, so I'm used to, you know, our, you know, perceptions of rearing children and you know, the helicopter parents and all of that. So I had experience in that, but it was really awesome to go there and see that, you know, the kids were allowed to kind of, you know, they were allowed to go and walk down the village and go and hang out with their friends, or, you know, they weren't being micromanaged by their parents. Right. There was a point at which one of the other girls that I was working with, we were working in a house together, just the two of us, and there was a little girl. She was probably about 5. She was doing her own laundry. She had all of her clothes out, and she was, you know, using. There wasn't a washboard, but I can't remember exactly what she was using. But she was cleaning her clothes and, you know, getting it all done, hanging them up and stuff. And I thought that was awesome. I thought that was really cool. And she was having the greatest time. Like, she was having so much fun.
Doing the laundry.
Yeah. And
interesting.
Yeah. And that was I noticed that with a lot of the kids, just the stuff that, they didn't have a million toys, and they didn't have, you know, the latest, you know, cell phone or anything like that, or iPods, but they were always having a great time. And, you know, if they had like a soccer ball, or like they had toys to play with, but nothing, you know, what, you know, we're used to seeing here. Sure. So, and they would just, they'd be entertained just kind of hanging out with us. I know we were novel, I guess, but, you know, just kind of getting to know us.
Outside in the sun.
Playing and helping their parents and helping cook and serve food and everything. It was really cool. That was a really great part of the trip. So
interesting contrast there. What would you say you enjoyed the most about this service learning experience? Like any fun or happy